It's my great pleasure to introduce our second delegate speaker. And before I introduce you to Najj, I just want to add my very brief comments. As we stand on the cusp of a digital age, we're still trying to solve the problems of an industrial age, which is respect and responsible employment of people. As you take the opportunity to drive our economy forward, you have a chance to change fundamentally through the use of technology and through your attitudes. People do business with brands they trust and companies they trust. But if you wouldn't trust to let your friend, your brother, your sister, your child work in a company, why would you trust them with your money as a brand? So you have the power of your spending as well as the power of your views on rights to truly make a difference. And as employers and members of that older generation, we have to hold ourselves accountable. So as I introduce our delegate, I'm proud to say that as a company, we don't use any zero-hours contracts, and everybody who works in my company earns above the living wage. It shouldn't be something that I'm able to say with pride. It should be something that is a basic for every company that operates. It's my great pleasure to introduce Najj from Brunei. Najj is a veritable whirlwind of social action. She's been involved in so many different projects, whether it be coastal cleanup, social entrepreneurship, turtle watching. But one of the things that Najj realized was that while she was doing all those things, there was an issue that was simply not being addressed around her. She saw it every single day, but was basically told to ignore it. But she said she wasn't prepared to ignore it. It was the reality in her small country of 300,000 people. It has a significant migrant worker population, but those migrant workers don't have rights. And so she recognized the challenge of human trafficking and our responsibility towards all of our citizens as global citizens, rather than the limitations of national citizenship. She's the founder of Youth Against Slavery in Brunei and Youth Ending Slavery across the ASEAN region. So it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to Najj from Brunei.
How do I do this? Okay. Right, so, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. So, the Global Slavery Index estimates more than 35 million people are enslaved, with the majority of those people forced to work in labor-intensive environments. And there are over 88,000 migrant workers in Brunei, some of whom face debt bondage, non-payment of wages, passport confiscation, confinement to the home, and contract switching, all factors of modern-day slavery. Truth is, slavery is all around us. 25,000 female domestic workers in Brunei are required to work exceptionally long hours without a day to rest. For as less than $1 an hour, that's effectively involuntary servitude in our homes. Slavery, it has also been linked to the supply chains of everyday product. Perhaps in the shoes and the bags that you wore right now, or the matches and soccer balls, and in many of the commodities that fuel the global economy, cocoa, coffee, precious metals, and your phones. Forced labor typically occurs in Asia, where many global products and services originate. Unfortunately, forced labor also occurs in Brunei. Multinational supply chains are sometimes so convoluted and opaque that it's hard to pinpoint agent or subcontractor using slave labor. Vulnerabilities with the supply chain start at the hiring stage. Employment agencies in Brunei can charge up to $2,000 recruitment fees to workers who may be only earning $200 per month. Some workers have to take out loans with excessive interest rates to pay those fees. Bonded by these debts, often they feel that they cannot leave their jobs. In fact, labor auditing experts Verite stated that there are cases where workers had to surrender the passport to their employer upon their arrival, making it impossible for them to leave. There are also significant ambiguities in workers' contracts, particularly around overtime and holidays, which leave the workers vulnerable to exploitation. Practices like this and other forms of forced, bonded, and child labor exist in many countries and in many industries. Our homes and our business carry the imprint of the modern-day slavery. As young business leaders, we cannot turn a blind eye or pretend that we are unaware. But in my country, Brunei, certain forms of slavery are not recognized. Not paying the workers on time, verbal and emotional abuse on domestic workers, not giving them proper rest days, and stripping them of personal time is viewed as normal. So I co-founded the ASEAN Youth Ending Slavery Network. Together, we organize awareness in all 10 ASEAN countries. And I also formed the Youth Against Slavery Brunei to create awareness in different forms of human trafficking and modern-day slavery in Brunei, to change the societal attitudes. But how? Given the subject of slavery itself is considered irrelevant, sensitive, almost taboo. So we promote through art exhibitions opened by US Ambassador with pieces by local artists exploring on the subject of human trafficking and modern-day slavery. We have it publicized in the media. We also run workshops, educate people, especially the young people, about the different forms of human trafficking and modern-day slavery in our homes, our businesses, and the products that we buy. But at a global business level, we can do far more. They need to work with modern slavery experts to identify areas of vulnerability by undertaking in-depth audits of suppliers and devising and implementing remediation strategies. They should adopt a zero-tolerance strategy to slavery throughout their supply chains. Then, it will not only be driven out of business, it will change societal attitudes. Governments, many of whom are the biggest buyers of goods and services in their countries, can choose not to buy. Financial investors can choose not to invest in these companies that is tainted with modern-day slavery. As young business leaders, we can question, we can challenge the companies that we work for to ensure ethical, humane practices are implemented throughout the business network, supply chain by supply chain. As a global citizens, we should not turn a blind eye. And we can show the global business that we want this to end. With the holidays coming, instead of buying brands tainted with slavery, let us buy fair trade products. As a responsible consumer, let us join the advocacy groups such as workfree.org and check on your slavery footprints. Be more aware and walk away from those goods and services that still support modern slavery. Think before you buy. Thank you.